It's 1840. Ireland is on the verge of great famine. Economic situation, poverty, and British oppression aimed against Catholics forces many people to leave their homes in Galway and seek for shelter in America. One of those immigrants is John O'Reilly, Catholic, born and raised in Clifden, Galway. From 1835 until his relocation, he was a sergeant in the British Army. When he immigrated to the US in Michigan, he joined the American Army. Just 1 year after that, alongside with his friend Patrick Dalton, he deserted the United States Army to fight for Mexico. Here you might think that it's a very unique story of a very unique man. Well, you are right, but it is also the basic background of approximately 200 Irish men who fought on the Mexican side for St. Patrick's Battalion against the United States. Today I'm going to tell you about the Irish military support for Mexico, their success in war, the largest mass execution in the United States history, the legacy of St. Patrick's Battalion, and how the US government covered, and to some extent still do cover, the story of this war crime up. Let's get straight to it. So we fought the St. Patrick's Battalion, and we fought on the Mexicans. Now, there are many reasons for sympathy towards Mexico. John Riley, the leader of St. Patrick's Battalion, himself proclaimed that he deserted the American Army because of the discrimination against the Catholics.
It's because we're Catholic.
That is why many Catholic Germans and other immigrants also joined the battalion to fight for the Mexican side, which encouraged Catholicism in the army. Other sources proclaim that Irish immigrants who escaped from the rule of British oppression generally opposed imperialism. While Mexico was seen by them as a victim, the US was seen as some kind of North American Britain with its imperialist ambitions, and I gotta say, after this war, America truly gained power over the region. Moreover, the immigrants opposed slavery as it is a part of imperialism. Therefore, Mexico, which declared war on slavery in 1820s and absolutely abolished it by 1829, was seen as more liberal. Mexico, the land of the free. And we fought on the Mexicans. The American-Mexican War started on the 8th of March 1846. There are several reasons to that. Number one is Napoleon I, who pressured Mexico in giving them Louisiana in 1803. After that, the US bought Louisiana from Bonaparte. The contract was officially signed on the 30th of April, 1803. But the borders of the province that France sold to the US weren't clearly stated, which led to the tension between two countries. Number two, immigrants. Americans who immigrated from the US to Mexico started uprisings on the Mexican territory, particularly in Texas. And the reason for that is the Mexican government abolishing slavery. Because the majority of people who immigrated from the United States and lived in Texas had slaves. American immigrants declared independence of Texas from Mexico in 1834. In 1840 they wanted to join the US, but the government at that time didn't want this conflict with Mexico. However, in 1845, US creates a resolution of the annexation of Texas and sends soldiers in order to keep new territories safe. However, the borders weren't clear again. Mexicans thought that the border lies on the Nueces River, while Americans thought that the border lies on the Rio Grande River. American troops moved to Rio Grande, occupying the territory that Mexico thought belonged to them. The war was inevitable. And we fought on the Mexicans. The St. Patrick's Battalion became a crucial part of the Mexican army, since they were skilled artillerymen trained by the European model of military education in European or American armies. They participated in the siege of Fort Texas and fought in the battles of Monterrey, Buena Vista, Carabasco, and the survivors even fought in the battle for Mexico City. Yes, I'm saying the survivors, because in the Battle of Carabasco, most of the battalion members were killed or captured and then killed. Despite the artillery skills of the battalion, Mexican army had severe problems with equipment, which was outdated and there simply wasn't enough. Despite the bravery in the Battle of Buena Vista and the fierce defense in the Battle of Carabasco, St. Patricios lost to the larger number of American soldiers equipped with modernized weapons. Yet, their reputation for standing their ground became legendary. Immediately after that, all of the St. Patricios were sentenced to death by hanging. although 3 soldiers could escape the sentence. 2 of them proclaimed that Mexican army captured them and forced them to join the battalion. So instead of hanging, they were sentenced to death by the firing squad. More humane way of execution. You decide what's more humane for yourself. This is the story of the largest mass execution in the United States military history, and the war crime that the US, in contrast to their other war crimes, still haven't apologized for. Moreover, the US government tried to downplay and obscure the story. It was very important at the time because the majority of the Americans had Irish ancestry. The archives that conclude the information about the deserters of the St. Patrick's Battalion are to this day closed. Even though the Congress ordered the army to turn the records in the National Archives over, yet thankfully to the Mexican archives, we do know the names of San Patricios. The US military long denied the existence of the St. Patrick's Battalion, and they admitted the denial as a result of an inquiry by the US Congress in 1915. Fun fact. During the 1852 presidential election, the Democratic Party brought the fact of execution of St. Patrick's Battalion up, since their opponent, Winfield Scott, was a general during the American-Mexican War. This was purposed to gain votes and sympathy from the Irish diaspora in the United States. Interestingly, the American society still doesn't like to be reminded about this story. In 1999, MGM cancelled the distribution of the movie One Man's Hero about the St. Patrick's Battalion on the territory of the United States. You've been seeing the experts of this movie throughout this video. And as mentioned before, there is still no formal apology. What's worth mentioning is the story of the main character of the movie and the founder of the battalion, John O'Reilly, who was the 3rd soldier that could escape the hanging sentence. Formally, he deserted before the war. Therefore, he was just branded with the large letter D for deserter on his face and sent to Mexico. As a result of this war, the US doubled their territory, whereas Mexico lost 55% of their territory. The domination of the United States had begun. The St. Patrick's Battalion is remembered to this day. This results in the massive celebrations of the St. Patrick's Day in Mexico, where it is more of a military milestone. The presidents of Ireland and Mexico still honor the legacy of the battalion. The 61st president of Mexico, Ernesto Zedillo, stated that members of the St. Patrick's Battalion were executed for following their consciences. They were martyred for adhering to the highest ideals. And the 62nd president of Mexico, Vicente Fox Quesada, said that the affinities between Ireland and Mexico go back to the first years of our nation, when our country fought to preserve its national sovereignty. Additionally, there are memorials in both Mexico and Ireland, and there are ceremonies to commemorate the San Patricios. In the end, this tragic story is a powerful reminder of how history can unite unlikely allies. The story of St. Patrick's Battalion is a story of faith and defiance. They are not and never will be forgotten, and I like to think that with my video, I help to commemorate their legacy. Here I want to thank Michael FX Hogan, since this video was mostly based on his article, The Irish Soldiers of Mexico, written in 1997. I hope you enjoyed this video. Even though I spent a lot of time on research, this all was very spontaneous, but I would actually love to think that I could inform some of you, and happy St. Patrick's Day. That is it.